Hi, friends. It's me, host Eric, host of Talking with Famous People, and I want to talk about the management of introverted feelings at times when one's normal state of equilibrium is in one way or another disturbed, upset, caused to be different than it normally is. So, I am in precisely such a condition right now, which is to say, it's Sleepy Week. It's the second day of Sleepy Week. So, my brain is used to getting all this dopamine or whatever it gets, I don't know, from Adderall. Now all of a sudden it's not, and I get emotional, and it's like, it's, a fussy time express around here. So, how do I deal with this? Well, number one thing of dealing with it is to metacognate about it, as I'm doing right now, and to give yourself lots of hugs. Oh, I know I act weird sometimes. Right. This is SI stuff for me. Right. Um, my mood's all over the fucking place right now. I mean, it's all over the place. My emotions are just. It's like that. I go from crying to laughing to just fucking. I'm just all over the place. It's like I'm an FI dom all of a sudden. Except without any of their powers. I was very, very interested to hear how tell me about his perception of INFPs and how they know how they're going to feel about something later. I don't know how I'm going to feel about something later, but I was reflecting on it earlier because that's really the crux of the issue, isn't it? I have no idea how I'm going to feel about anything later. I barely know how I feel about it now. But that doesn't mean that I don't feel something about it now, and it doesn't mean that I'm not going to feel something about it later. Like, it took me years to realize how badly my first girlfriend breaking up with me impacted me, or how much I loved her. It took me years to figure that out. I accepted it to be true because I dreamed about that girl through two marriages. Howe says I should wait for my duel, that it's worth it. That we should all wait for our duels. I believe him on some important level. And yet I see it as a risk. You could wait forever on an idea. There's the 80-20 rule in life. Nobody ever provides more than 80% of what you want them to provide. It's like when you're hiring somebody, 80% of what you want is what you're going to get. at best. Go for that. If you see it, grab it. Same thing in relationships. Because you want contradictory things, you can't get 100%. You got to pick the 80% that's not contradictory and go for that if you can grab it. Maybe it's not true in relationships. Maybe you can get 100%. Maybe you can find your dual and it work perfectly and everything be wonderful. And it's like a fairy tale. I don't know. I know I'm fidgety as fuck. I know my feelings are driving the bus at the moment, in general. About what? About everything. Like, they're close to the surface in a way they aren't normally. I mean, increasingly they are this way all the time, though. I mean, come on. So fidgety. What? Why am I so fidgety? Would it be the paucity of speed? Oh, paucity. Do you have a paucity of speed? Yes, I do. The paucity you mentioned exists. A lack. Yes, a lacking. I'm lacking in sufficiency. I'm insufficiently vigorous in my consumption of that which I do not have. Are you sure about that construction there? Sounds like you just said the opposite, kind of. Stop questioning my poo. I ran into a clear instance when I was up in Berkeley of my TI just falling short. I was judging around a debate, it was a policy debate, and the argumentation was extremely complicated. It was a very complicated conditionality tangle that I had to untangle. And I knew the neg won the round. I knew that the contradictions landed such that neg won. But I really didn't want to fucking try to figure it all out. That's where TI goes, are you serious? You gotta think through this whole thing through? When NE goes, no you don't. You know who won. And I did know who won. And I said neg, and I knew my RFD was inadequate. And I told him that. I'm like, look guys, this is not a very good RFD. I'm sorry. Reason for decision is RFD. Explanation to the debaters why you voted one side or the other. I sounded like an idiot when the guy asked me how the 2AR was, and I couldn't answer the question because I didn't remember which speech it was and who said it. And it made it sound like I didn't know what I was doing. But I did know what I was doing. I just didn't want to go back and figure all that shit out. My brain was exhausted. It was such an intensely heavy TI round. There were so many arguments going on. It was so complicated a tangle that my brain just was done. I just didn't have that much TI left in me. But NE knew the right answer anyway. It didn't matter. Later on, I figured out why. I figured out the best thing I could have said, which is because at the beginning of the 1AC, you said the best way to make you change in this round is to vote for the other team, because that would make you stop running this AF. Simple enough answer, but it was so far back in the conditionality chain that I didn't think of it, and I had like 16 pages of notes in front of me. You know, it was ridiculous. That was one of the most intense intensely heavy TI rounds I've ever experienced. It was crazy. I picked the wrong round to try to be all badass and ask him and tell him I don't need him to flash it. I'll flow it. And then they're just like, I told them I can handle anything and I'll flow it. And then they went fucking lightning fast, like faster than I could even flow. And there was one guy, one of the four, I couldn't keep up with him. I just couldn't. It wasn't that he was unclear, that I literally couldn't keep up with him. And that's frustrating when you're a palsy debate coach. It's really frustrating. You feel like a scrub, you know? That was hard. But that's why everybody flashes everything nowadays. Nobody tries to flow it anymore. I shouldn't have tried to do that. That was overly ambitious of me. I didn't know it was going to be that kind of round. That helps with the FI a little bit. Smooths it out. Feelings are still there. About time for me to go back to bed anyway. Happy Sleepy Week, everybody.